Alright, empaths and empathy. So you get a lot of fluffy spiritual types saying you've got to be empathetic and what does it actually mean? What's the deal? What's in the body is most important, as always, because that's universal truth. That's how the body works. So I'd always like to look at the etymology of these words. So from the German in feeling. So what's feeling within? Cool. But from the ancient Greek, it means in passion or suffering. Pathos, passion or suffering. Yeah, slightly different take on it now, isn't it? Totally. So obviously, if we're caring about people, we want to listen, but do we really want to, we want to associate and bond and have relationships? That's great. But do we really want to be listening to each other's problems all the time? So that's what it seems to be. A lot of the inner child spiritual fluffy work seems to be. Let's have a look in feeling in the body, what's actually going on. So someone's got an imbalance. Say they're sad at their mother. It's a spleen issue, right? It's actually generally a fungus. So essentially it's the fungus talking, and then of course these things and viruses and the subtleties of creatures in the body are transmitted via airborne and via touch. So when a person is imbalanced and they're always whinging and complaining about the sadness at maternal issues, especially the vegans, then they're actually spreading their fungus via the words and sharing that with you. Is that beneficial to you? And no, probably not. Notice that even counselors and psychologists and everyone who does some sort of counseling or spiritual healing and work, then if we're listening to that person whinge and complain, especially if they don't want to fix it, then what has it actually achieved? Well, we've engaged that particular imbalance, we've energized it by letting it control us through the body, and then shared that with somebody else. I hope there's an energy exchange for that, because they're essentially passing on their problems and their sickness and their dis-ease. Yeah, different way to look at it, isn't it? So that's why in psychology and counseling and healing we have an energy exchange. Because if you notice, if you're capable of holding that session to yourself and not spreading it to your friends or to your partners, apparently I've got something there, then congratulations, you've done well. But how many people can actually do that? Very, very few, because we generally pass these things on. Have a look at Indigenous cultures, what they do. So as soon as there's someone who's got, probably when they use the word weird or crazy, or they do something that's a bit off balance, everybody cares, and they're connected spiritually and through the heart with empathy. They will feel that person suffering, but they will go and tell either the chief or the village elder, but most importantly the shaman and the medicine man, and they will call a ceremony quite quickly. They might, whatever ceremony that they have in their local environment, to destroy these pathogens, pathos, pathogen, passion or suffering. Very big difference on the meaning now, isn't there? So they will deal with the cause and get the solution very quickly, because that will spread throughout the whole society. Have a look at our Western world. How many people use the word weird or crazy? That's a particular virus or a particular pathogen. Might want to be careful of that one. And of course, empathy. Let's look at it in frequency terms in the body. So in feeling. So generally you'll notice that a lot of these fluffy types, they don't have any muscle tone, they don't have a good spinal alignment. If they're not doing yoga and a lot of great nutrition and cleansing, then they're externalizing their energy. And they're always whinging and complaining. They might put a fluffy spin on it, but it's still, is it negative or positive? Where is the emotion that they're coming from, and which part of the body are they coming from? Different way to look at it, huh? So if they've got an in-feeling, say this person's got 100,000 imbalances, minimum, and they're gonna, and anybody who comes up with any tiny little problem that they're dealing with, they're gonna go, oh yeah, me too. I really feel that. I can associate. I have an empathy with you. great. Do you have the solution? Until you get up here, you very rarely have the solution, because you need a 5, if ideally 6 and 7D awareness to know the cause and the solution in the gut, because the body is connected to it. So you need to have a solid gut health. That's why there's a lot of naturopaths who are overweight. Yet they're supposed to have the knowledge, but they don't get the results because they cannot look within themselves. And if we can't look within ourselves because there's too many imbalances, we're naturally going to push that out. When the frequencies of the matrix and all the different transmissions around us goes in, we're going to have empathy, an in-feeling or a suffering, and it's going to have to come out. Generally from the heart, because have you noticed that people they use the phrase a bleeding heart or a big heart? Do they have a solid spinal alignment with an open chest? Or do they have all sorts of cracks and crevices and mucus and stuff going in here? Might have a big heart, but what's that heart content filled with? Big difference. So we have to clean and cleanse the blood, because the circulation goes through the whole system, goes through all of the 100,000 imbalances, comes back through the lymphatic system, where the person is suffering from just general homeostasis day to day. They'll attach an emotion onto that because they're emotionally retarded, because they haven't got a decent gut health and they can't get rid of their shit. And they'll call this empathy. Tell me how this is a good thing. Really, it's just spreading toxicity and disease. But apparently we call that a spiritual path for a lot of people. I wouldn't say a successful one, because from my point of view and my experience and those that I share with, it's fun, it's joyful, it's loving, because we're getting bigger, stronger, sexier, more cellular aware, more spiritually aware, and more conscious every single day. Now, isn't that proper coming from the heart and loving? Because we're loving our digestion, we're loving our body temple, we're loving our clean blood, which is the